to get to the top. He's going to be up here first to give you an update on the sale of the building. And then the yellow sheet is all about our legacy giving that we talked about a month or so ago, and we were just bringing this to you after we did some things. So I will pass the mic on to you. So we're going to
I like numbers better than ducks.
Some people are just traders, also. Good morning. You heard my clipboard announcement, and I actually got a few names on the clipboard, but there are clipboards that I will pass around table to table. If you know where you're going to go, put down your name and the church you think you'd like to go to, and I will compile them all on the right sheet. If you don't know where you're going to go, it's okay, you have a few weeks to think about it. But just make sure it's important that you go somewhere on the 4th of January. Now, to the meeting at hand. Way back in June, we voted to sell this building. We approved the sale in August, and we have 90 days to go through due diligence, and closing is actually tomorrow, December 15th. However, a little bit of snag, like with all real estate things, they have asked for an extension to close as they work on their financing and so on. So we granted them a 30-day extension. We sent the paperwork out last week. Steve, do you know if we've got the signed copies back?
We've signed, we haven't seen the signature.
Well, so it is extended for 30 days. We're just waiting for a signed copy to come back. We will not close tomorrow. That doesn't change the fact that we're selling the building. Just the date of going to escrow and signing the paperwork will change. That's it on the building update, unless any of you have a question and I'm going to plead ignorance. Okay, good.
Okay, that brings us to the conversation that is our main purpose today, and that is our legacy giving. So the sheet of paper that you have before you at the top, it's just showing you where the money's coming from. And so we've got earnest money and down payment and all of that, but it comes out to be $1.1 million plus. So, which is, I'm not even sure how to read that, because that's a big number. We met a month or so ago, and we presented some ideas. We got some feedback from various people in terms of where we want to donate that money. And so they're coming back today with a few adjustments. We've added some things, we've subtracted some things. So we just want to go through that today, answer any questions, bring any comments if you have. If you have other things that it's like, well, why isn't that on the list? Let us know what you're thinking. And then in January, when we have our meeting on the 11th, thank you, on the 11th, that's when we will do the official voting on where we're dispersing the funds, as well as the official closing of the church, the vote. So we have a little time to still adjust. So let's just kind of go through that. We ended up with 5 groups that we felt were bigger, what we're considering the legacy giving. So Family Promise in Washington Elementary School, I wrote $250,000. Willamette Lutheran Retirement Community, $100,000. Other local ELCA congregations, $200,000. Basically, that would be an annual in Silverton, and that would be state parks in Salem. The two that we're looking at. Those are the closest communities that have ELCA Lutheran churches. And then the ELCA Lutheran Disaster Response, which is $200,000. So that brings us to the top for the first one. So those are big, substantial givings. Then we have some smaller ones, equally as important, but just in terms of where we have chosen to put the money. We've got Marian Folk Food Share for $50,000. Union Gospel Mission is $50,000. Camp Luther Wood is $10,000. Luther House, which is the campus ministry at Norton State, is $10,000. I believe they are, I want to say, Lutheran Episcopal camp campus now. I think they've added Episcopal, I think. The Oregon Synod, they have the Greatest Love Fund. They have several different funds, and we felt this was one that was probably closest to what we would want to do, and I can look that up for you. It's basically for innovative projects and things at various congregations. They can apply for money to get some things going in their congregation. So it's, again, more local in terms of putting that money to use. And then we have regional archives. So when we close, we have lots of records from our congregation. They have to go someplace, and PLU has the archives for the churches. So we're going to give them some funds because that's an operation test. They have to go someplace, and so we'll support them in that doing it. So that brings us to 1.130 for what we consider for allocation. We still have about 20,000 that we haven't identified. So if we have gotten something, or you have another idea, we can go ahead and look at that. Let's hold that thought for a minute, and let me explain the bottom one. We have some funds in our coffers that we can go ahead and disperse now before we get to the end of the year. So Salvation Army, Festival Chorale, Reconciling in Christ, which is our LGBTQ plus piece, and it's a membership kind of thing, so you kind of give every year. So that's what we would give this year. And then Oregon Humane Society, the Salem campus, we had one of our members suggested that Humane Society, think back to when we've had dogs and cats and all kinds of animals out on the patio for blessing, so we added that. Let's stop there. There's going to be another piece to this. It's not written on our sheet, but let's stop there. Yeah. Any thoughts, any questions, any suggestions, any things like, whoops, why didn't you put that in there? Let us know.
I was wondering if you gave any consideration to Salem Leadership Association, since that was the group that kind of got us going again on our ministry. And also if we were going to still consider making some kind of a reimbursement to Pam Rush.
No, I forgot. I don't know what else to say.
Foundation, Salem Leadership Foundation.
Yes, what is it?
Yeah.
This foundation.
And we certainly could do, back to the spot, we certainly could do something because there is money, like I said, $20,000. And can you explain the Pam Rushing?
Well, we were talking at one point, since she did everything for us for getting the sale up and going without charging us anything, if
If it might be appropriate for Pam Rushing then to give her some kind of, not necessarily a commission, but just a recognition of what she did for us.
She's actually been,
You want to pass your mic to Karen?
She's actually done that same thing 3 times for us.
Okay.
Both houses and this building.
Okay. I lost my pen somewhere along the line, so would you write those things down? Okay. Knowing that we have $40,000 undesignated at the moment, would that work for those two to split, or I don't know, that's my thought.
I think that would work fine for Pam. I'd like to see Salem Leadership Foundation move a little higher on the list.
Okay. Steve?
I guess my only point is we should consider that an expense, like reimbursement of an expense, because we can't, I put down that we're going to give Pam Rushing that money as part of our charitable donations to the Department of Justice, let's say no. But as an expense, absolutely.
Yes.
We have approached Pam twice. She has refused money both times.
I know.
I don't think she's going to take any gift that we want to give her. She doesn't want to pay for a commission. She doesn't want any sort of fee paid to her. She's doing it really out of the goodness of her heart towards this church.
Non-monetary.
Buy her a backyard swimming pool? Again, I don't know.
Friday.
I just know that Pam has been approached. We really do feel indebted to her, and both times she has absolutely flat refused to take any sort of brokerage fee.
What if we asked her what she would be wishing to give money to?
We could let her go. So if she would like to donate, us to donate
With her name.
with her name on it, yeah. I do think Steve has a really good point, though, that we might want to keep this separate from what we have. If we do it before the end of the year, we can just do it, right?
I guess if we give it to her, we have to consider it an expense. If we say, Pam, we'd like to make a gift on your behalf somewhere, another charitable organization, and she tells us what, that's fine.
It might
And it will be one of those, so I think that's a good way to handle that. Yeah. So we've got it on our list. So we will fine tune that before next time. Now, if we're going to do more than, so we're going to split that. But you wanted more for the Salem Leadership Foundation, that means it's going to come from something else that's here. So do we have a suggestion on something that you would be comfortable reducing so that we could do something a little bit more for the Salem Leadership Foundation? Okay. So the donation from Pam will come from different funds? Okay, so. That's okay. So we could just take that 20,000 and put that for Salem Leadership Foundation, and then what we do for Pam, we would come from other funds besides the actual building and sale fund, if that's okay with you guys. Anybody going, no, that's awful? Nope, okay. Okay, so kind of lead in that direction. Thank you for bringing it up. As much as we've talked about this, things come and go out of our brains. So kind of okay with where we're headed for this? There's nothing else that you want to say, Ron?
The money for Washington Elementary, has it been figured out how the school district is not going to get the tasks?
Yeah, so hang on a second. So Washington Elementary School, because it is a public school, what we want to make sure is that it's going to the school for the school use, not through the district, which may or may end up in other places. So Steve, if you have an answer for that on that union.
So Ryan actually did a bunch of research on how to get those funds. And I think the suggestion was to either the principal or somebody associated, officially associated with Washington.
Many of you would remember that the Salem Kaiser Education Foundation existed, and they did the awesome 3,000 every year as a fundraiser. They went out of business shortly after COVID. The United Way of the Mid-Willamette Valley has taken over, and they have created what they call a Salem Community Foundation Fund for benefits to specific schools. And you can actually give money on behalf of Washington Elementary, and that you can designate what you want it for. It could be for field trips, could be music programs, could be clothing for after-school activities, snacks, etc. And then the school district doesn't have access to that money for budgetary considerations. The school itself would tap into that fund.
So we can identify the $250,000 through that process goes to Washington School, elementary school. They have say over how it's spent unless we put parameters on it, correct?
That is true. You can put some parameters in there, but in all of our wisdom in this room, realize that you have no clue what the school is going to be needing 5 years from now.
Exactly.
So the wider you make your gift, the better off you will be.
Well, I think we have a very long, trusted relationship with Washington Elementary School, and I think in my opinion, I think we trust that they will do the very best that they can, knowing where it came from.
So technically, it's the United Way for the benefit of Washington Elementary.
Yes. Yeah. To United Way for the benefit of Washington Elementary School. Okay, anything else on that, Karen?
Well, I would start serving breakfast at Washington Elementary. I started serving breakfast at Washington Elementary, so I hope the money goes to that school and not to pad someone's pockets.
Exactly. This is the way we would set it up with United Way, is that it would go to Washington Elementary School. And we would work, we would talk to the principal and not contact people there. So, yes. That's exactly what we don't want to have happen, is that it's going someplace, some other school, we want it to go to Washington School. Okay, we're okay with that. And again, the formal vote will be in January. There's one piece that you don't have on your paper. We're going to do our best to get everything going and working down, and then we're going to come to the end of the time when the church has had its last worship service. The trustees will probably continue to work for a while to make sure that all the things that need to get done, and work with Steve and the state and all that kind of stuff. There's lots of things that still have to happen even after we finish with worship service. The reality is that we probably are going to get to the end of the time. We're ready to say, we're done, and we're going to have some money left over. And so, what we want to talk about, and we'll print this up for the next meeting so that you have it in front of you. So, let's say we have $30,000 left. I don't know. We're suggesting that we take and percentage-wise give to these places that I'm going to mention here in a minute. And I'm going to do it by percentage because we don't know if it's going to be 20,000 or 50,000 or 5,000. You know, we just don't know. So we're suggesting that with whatever we have left at the very end, when we're ready to close the business end of Holy Cross, that 25% of what we have left would go to Family Promise. 25% of what we have left would go to the Oregon Synod. 12.5% and 12.5% would go to the 2 ELCA congregations that we have on our list. So Emmanuel and Silverton, St. Mark's here. The reality is we know that many of us, not all of us, but many of us will be going to probably one of those 2 churches.
Barbara,
Yes.
could you clarify that in order to close as a nonprofit, we have to go to zero?
Yes, we can't have any money left over at the end of the day. When we're ready to say, this is it, we're done, we have paperwork we have to give to the state, and we have to show that what we've done is given away our money to nonprofits. So that's where we're at, is that when we get to the very end, we will have some money that we have still hanging out there that we need to deal with. So that would be our recommendation. Family Promise 25%, Oregon Synod 25%, and then 12, did that come out right? I mentioned, food bank. Yeah, so Marion Cove, food bank, or Meals on Wheels, one of those, for 25%. Sorry about that. That wasn't adding up. So, food bank, Family Promise, Oregon Synod, each 25%. And the last 25% would be split between Emmanuel and St. Mark's. So that's our recommendation.
I think there's one little addition that perhaps to this is endowment funds and memorial funds. I think the endowment committee has discussed handing the endowment funds over to an ELCA endowment organization and trying to use the memorial funds that either get dedicated or are open for other memorial fund type projects. I think.
Karen?
That's correct. It's on the table for council on whenever you next meet.
Tuesdays. So Tuesday we'll be discussing that more, the endowment fund and the memorial. What we have left in there.
How much is in this?
How much are in those funds?
Approximately 35, 30.
38,000 and change.
Okay. Any comments on that last part? We're kind of okay with those institutions? Okay.
Thank you for all the work that you guys have done.
know, I was talking to Pastor this morning. We have some good people, of course, but we have people with knowledge of how to do things, like Steve and Lorraine and Brian. You know, they just know things, and it's really helpful at this point. So the rest of us that, you know, we like to pretend we know some things, but we don't always know the nitty-gritty stuff. So I know, as I said, I told Pastor, I said, well, I may be the financial vice president type person for the congregation, but I really rely on Lorraine and Brian because it's not necessarily my forte. So at any rate, thank you very much.
Yes, but she keeps us organized, and that's as valuable as knowledge.
It's a teacher thing. Okay, that's what we wanted to bring to you today. Looks like we're kind of on track. No? Brian?
Dates, time.
Oh, dates, timeline. So,
All fire, right?
When are we meeting next as a congregation? Anyone know? Somebody listen. What are we doing the week before? Visiting that. Okay, we got somebody that's paying attention here. What do we normally do the last Sunday of January? Yeah. We, as a council, are going to discuss this a little bit more on Tuesday, but I want feedback if we skip our annual meeting because we will have a congregational meeting 2 weeks prior to that on the 11th. Is anyone going to cry if we don't get together 2 weeks in a row?
one of the main reasons you have an annual meeting is to elect officers. We obviously won't be doing that. And passing a budget, which we'll be talking about on Tuesday of how we need to, we need to have something for the last month and a half or whatever, but it doesn't necessarily be a full budget, so.
However, I do not want people to not turn in reports, because I would like to prepare one final annual booklet. So if any of you have been on a committee or involved on council or anything, do your normal end-of-year job and write up a short half-page, one-page, four-page report on what's been going on. Okay?
And do it sooner.
And if you have it in before Visitation Sunday, that would be awesome.
The one set of officers that I think we're going to need to vote on the 11th will be the folks that are going to hang around to make sure that the money gets dispersed after the close. And I think there'll be five on that trustee group.
So they're called trustees, and it's basically Kathy, Brian, whatever you know, Steve, Lorraine, and myself. Those are the five that we come up with. Enough people to get the work done, but not so many people that we can't get the work done. So that's what we're looking at, and that's what we will be bringing forth in January.
Is all this etched in stone now?
We'll vote on it in January, so you have something you're thinking. We would like this to be the final one, but if we need to do something different, now would be the time to speak up.
I have a question about turning the building over, timeline for that. We were targeting that they would assume responsibility for the building on January 1st. Is that not true now then? So that means that my term and Josh's term has been extended for a while.
Yes.
Okay.
Like most real estate, letting someone take over a building before it closes is never a good idea. And to Gary's question about etched in stone, it will be a motion like most others, and there will be an opportunity to discuss if you'd like. We were hoping to have most of the discussion here, but if something crops up, you're always welcome to bring it up at that time.
Or bring it up to the council ahead of time, so that.
Or ahead of time. We're just trying to, we have a lot of things to discuss on the 11th, and we're trying to make sure it's easier, and you have time to think about it. If we just spring this on you on the 11th, I for one don't like surprises. My husband won't even throw me a surprise party because he knows I don't like it.
Anything else? Kind of along with Lauren's question, where we're not allowing things to come into the building from mano a mano until we have.
Other than that, they're running.
Oh, yeah, what they normally do, what we already do with them for a rental thing. So, Brian, you look like you're gonna say something.
I was just gonna talk about housekeeping. We don't need to put away tables and chairs. Josh will take care of that tomorrow. Josh and I will take care of the sound system. Beyond that, you are free to throw away your garbage. We don't clean that up.
Thanks, everyone, appreciate